Welcome student. Let us continue with these lessons, that is the Vedic civilization. This is one of the oldest civilization which were developed the humanism all over the world. Okay. Uh, and many literatures was created by these civilized people in the form of oral and written form. So let us look at their family system and day-to-day life of the Vedic civilization. It was very cultured people. There was a very cultured people and having a particular lifestyle, day-to-day lifestyle, which they followed, and having a scientific way. They lived in a scientific way. Uh, Joint family system was prevalent in the Vedic period. The Grahapati was the head of the family, a man responsible for the family. His family included his old parent, wife, children, and also the families of the children, the younger brother, and their families. This family system was patriarchal. The initial period, there are a reference to women scholars such as Lopamudra, Gargi, Maitreyi in Vedic literature. However, slowly the restrictions on the women went on increasing, and their position in the family and society became secondary. The houses during the Vedic period were earthen and the wattle and adobe constructions. Wattle means the woman lattice of the woman stripped, uh, which is daubed with the clay mixed with the cow dung. A house is called as a griha or shala. Shala. The diet of the people mainly consists the cereals like wheat, barley, rice. From this, they made the different preparations. Words like yava, godhum, vrihi, etc. These are the part of their uh, home to be the Vedic literature. Yava means barley, godhum means wheat, vrihi means rice. This is the day-to-day diet of that people. So here is the picture of the houses in the Vedic period. This was made by the remains of the field. Okay. Vedic people relish milk, yogurt, ghee, butter, honey, etc. Black gram, urad dal, lentil, masur dal, sesame, meats were also be part of their diet. People in the Vedic period used cotton and woolen garments. So at that time they were knowledge of making clothes from the cotton. They also used valkalas or clothes made by the bark of tree. Valkala. Similarly, the animal's skin were also used as a clothing. Men and women used ornaments of gold, flower garland, string made by the beads, uh, a kind of pendant called called Nishka seems to be have become a very popular at that time. It was used as a currency. Singing, playing musical instruments, dance, board games, chariot race, and the hunting were the main recreation. Their main musical instruments were veena, shatatantu, kimbal, cymbals and the conch. The percussion instruments like uh, damru, mridanga were also used. Were also used. These are the musical instruments, that is shankha, ghanti. We call it as tal, damru, veena, and mridanga. Next is the agriculture, animal husbandry, economic and social life at that period. Okay. Uh, Agriculture was the main occupations during the Vedic period. Many oxen were yoked together to plow field. The plow had iron plowshares, and the Atharva Veda considers insect, pests, and other animals that destroy crops. Suggest certain remedies. Cow dung was used as a manure. During the Vedic period, animals like horses, cows, and dogs had a special importance. Cows were used as a means of exchange. That is why cows were highly prized. People took special care to ensure that their cow would not be stolen. The horses was valued because of its speed, and Vedic peoples were skilled in taming the horses and harnessing them to chariot. Chariots in the Vedic period had a spoked wheel, uh, which are lighter than the solid wheel. The horses drawn the spoked wheel chariot. And the Vedic period were swift and speedy. This is the picture of chariot. In this period, apart from the agriculture and the animal husbandry, several other occupations had also flourished. Artisans and the people practicing various occupations were an important part of the social system. So there develops many aspects of the social life in this Vedic culture. It develops the different knowledges about the agriculture and social values, or artisan and craftsman. They formed an independent organization known as a shrenis or a guild. The head of the guild were known as a Shreshti. However, slowly the status of a skilled artisans became secondary. During this period, there were four varnas, that is Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. Varna was determined by the occupations of the people, but in the later period, the Varnas become to be determined on the basis of birth. This gave rise to castes. The caste system led to inequality in the society. During the Vedic period, certain notions become leading. An ideal life had become well established. There were four stages and four ashramas. So here we have this the ancient period. The Vedic system is actually based on the Varnashram. Varna is different and ashrama is different. Okay, Varna, that in the first pre-Vedic period, the Varna, the social status of the people determined by the Varnas. through the Gurukulas. Okay, that is the Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. It was determined on the basis of their occupation. Okay, next there is a ashrama. Whole life is bounded in the ashrama system. That is started. These ashramas were started before birth and after death also. So there first is the brahmacharya ashrama, or period of staying with the guru to learn from him. The next stage is after the successful completions of the brahmacharya ashrama was the grihastha ashrama. It was expected that during this period man would carry out their duties towards his family and society with the help of his wife. And third stage was vanaprastha when the man expected to detach himself from the household, retired to a solitary place and lead to the very simple life. And fourth stage was a sannyasa ashrama. At this stage the conventions was to renounce all the relations and leads life in order to understand the meaning of human life, not to stay in one place. Religious ideas, religious ideas of the Vedic period, forces of the nature such as sun, wind, rain, lightning, storm, and rivers were given the form of deities. Vedic compositions pray them to become a life-giving forces. The Vedic people put offerings into yajna fire to please them. These offerings were called as a havi. Yajna is the act of offering havi into fire. Initially, the yajna's rites were simple. Later on, the rules of the yajna become harder and harder. The importance of the priest went on increasing. Peoples in the Vedic period had thought about how the natural phenomenon occur. Summer is followed by the rainy season, and the rainy season by winter. This is the regular cycle in the nature. This cycle of the nature and life cycle that moved with it were termed by the Vedic people is Ritu or Rita. The life of all living beings is the part of cycle in the nature. Disturbance in the cycle of nature leads to calamities. Everyone should be careful not to let it happen. Nobody should break the laws of nature. It will be believed that the following rules was to follow dharma. So, student, here we come to the last point, that is the political system. In the Vedic period, each village has a head, that is Gramani. A group of village formed a Vish, whose head was called as a Vishapati. Several Vish formed a Jana. When the Jana settled into the specific region, it becomes known as a Janapada. The head of the Jana is known as a Nrupa or a Raja. Then main duties of the king were to protect the people, collect the taxes, and run the administration efficiently. In order to run the administrations smoothly, the king appointed various officers: the Purohit, priest; the Senapati, the army officers; and special importance, The officers who collected the taxes were known as Bhagaduk. Bhaga means the share. The person who collected the king's share to produce the produce of the jana was called as a Bhagadu. There were four institutions where guided the king: Sabha, Samiti, Vidhan, Vidhat, Vidhata, and Jana. So there was a particular scientific system of running social life. A people of the state participated in their working. Women too participated in the working of Sabha and Vidhata. The Sabha consists senior citizens and the Samiti, whereas Samiti was a general body of the people. Later on, the Vedic thought, Smriti and Puranas were composed after a period of time. Religious stream based on the Vedas, Smritis, Puranas, local traditions became to known as Hinduism. Along with the Vedic stream, there were a religious trend which took different positions from the Vedic ones, that is Yajna rites and Varna system. We will learn more about in the next chapter. Here we completed this chapter with the reading and explanation. Okay.